500 years. 500 years they've been looking, at least. We have documentation that they've been looking up into the 18th century and the 1800s, man. If it's so important that they'll put up a monument in South Africa to the Portuguese seafarers who searched for Prester John between 1145 and 1645, what man do you search for 500 years? And who is the Holy Grail? Just talking the Crusades. Who were they looking for? Who were they taking down? Why did the Byzantine get taken down the year after the 1452 Papal Bull? Who was Prester John? I'm just talking the Cherokee Dragoon. Love to our bro, Fruquan Stewart, man. And keep supporting our tribe and keep supporting the Stewart family. J. Stew and the crew. J. Stew and K. Stew, but it ain't no JK because it ain't no play. I'm just talking Drive Nation. We left off talking about the kingdom of Iberia, Hebrew. The Cochise, ancient kingdom and region on the coast of the Black Sea, centered in present-day Western Georgia. And again, love to Jackie Anthony and all the family drop, man. Homicide 540, Eye of a Dragon. It has been described in modern scholarship as the earliest Georgian formation, man. We're just talking Georgia, right? We're just talking Georgia. What ATL? What came first? What's the orientation? What's with this Georgia, right? I mean, we know about this King George, and we know what they're calling it. We know. So when they are these Babylonian exilarchs, when the exilarchs, we're talking David Soslan, the exilarchs. These Israelite kings, or priest kings, or wangs, or khans, priests, chiefs. Remember, there's two different breakdowns of a chief and a king. And when you desire the king, you desire the sovereign rulership that was sovereign, cut off, different, another order of what you already had through your priesthood. Your priest, your chiefs, are that which is David. David didn't call himself King David. David didn't call himself King David. We're reading about it this way. They're calling him king. You know what I'm saying? We say it in terms of, okay, remember your royalty. When I say king drop, it's not for me, it's for you to remember that when we talk about the drop, we're talking about the kingdom. King drop represents the kingdom of drop, which is you. I'm representing you. But in your kingdom or chiefdom, we break it down, you know, through the word magic and the word spell, and chief represents something different. We're just talking the exilarchs. Oh, we're just talking the ether. The upper regions, fire, water, ether. Ether. Upper pure. We're talking the smokeless fire. Who is Prester John? Well, who is a dragon? A winged serpent? Okay. Oh, a meteor? Oh, okay. Oh, a person. Violent and fierce towards the hijack. Because the hijack's writing this, right? So you're in the mind of a hijack. A person being violent or fierce. Or a person in Tartary. They called it Tartary because that was a state of hell. It wasn't just a place. It was a state, a mind state. That to them, you represent these violent, fierce. When your priesthood happened, when your Prester happened, it was a meteor. When your priest hit, when your priest was sent to raise the vibration, it was a meteor to the hijack. It was as if a meteor exploded. I said your priests, I said your Presters, I said your priests. Have you put in Prester? Who is Prester John? Prester, a meteor. I can't make this up, man. I didn't write this in 1828. We start digging on meteors, you're digging on dragons. Meteor, dragon, meteor, dragon. Remember, a dragon is a meteor. Prester is a meteor. Can we put it together? We're talking dragon kings. And Love to Urban Reed, we're talking dragon queens. Miriam, beautiful drop. We got the balance, we got the vibration. We got the Solomon, we got the Sheba, the Khalifa. A meteor. So this priest, Prester means priest. But in 1828, you don't even see a priest. So we keep saying, oh, Prester means priest. Like that's just a body bag. But in 1828, Prester didn't mean priest. It meant a meteor thrown from the clouds with such violence that by collision it is set on fire. External part of the neck that swells when a person is angry. Angry like mad. Angry like a fierce, violent person would be angry. Because this man or woman is a dragon. This is just the definition of dragon in 1828. I'm just talking ether. After the theory of relativity won acceptance, but before it went, it gave rise to the colloquial use of ether for the radio. So radio had to do with ether. Of course, you're speaking through the waves, the airwaves, the air waves. Ether. I think that's a big part of why the Most High, put it, on our Ruach, man, as we build this 432 to drop, this radio, this ether, because we got the ether in 432. We're bringing that breath, we're bringing that air, we're bringing that ha. And we're being shaped and molded. We got the wa, man. We just done on the wakada, the black dragon, the black panther. The wakada, to burn, burn, ether, burn. Ether burn? What do you mean ether burn, man? Ether burn. Wah. Wah. Burn. Ether. Wah. Your dragon inhales the ha. It's a the ha is not a outer, an exhale. It's an inhale. It's the wah. To burn. We're just talking the what? The frost dragon, Arctic to Antarctic, goes from pole to pole. We're just talking the wah. The wakada. They probably try to put a Y in front in Hebrew. Nah, man, it's still a W. It's still a W. Wah. To what? To burn. Wah. Burn it down. We're just talking the what? Man, we're just talking the Cherokee Dragoons. Ether, 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 ether. Let's get it. We're talking the Cochise, which would later contribute significantly to the development of the medieval. Alright, don't get tripped up with medieval. It's a trigger word to make you turn your mind off. So, you know, dodge the sorcery when we dig on this stuff in English. Medieval, dark ages, all this turns you off. It turns a trigger off. It turns it into a myth to you. Mythology, the word, turns it into things that are, you think are illusory. You think it's an illusion, but it's not. So drop the myth, drop the medieval. You know what I mean? Drop all that hijack, all right? We're talking about the Georgian statehood, Georgia, nation. We're talking about the what? The Kingdom of Georgia, also known as the Georgian Empire. Was medieval? No. Was a monarchy, which emerged circa 11 or 1008. So we're talking about the 11th century. It reached its golden age of political and economic strength during the reign of who? King David. Oh, you thought it was play when Drop said King David is rocking recently? Oh, you think this is just someone named King David? I get it, because you're thinking all this happened in the BCs and 70 AD and Titus and Vespasian. I keep asking you, what does Titus Vespasius have to do with America's Vespucius? We're talking Flavius. We're talking duplicates and phantoms. And what they're calling medieval is the drop. And Flamenco told you that everything that happened after the 900s is closer to what they can actually verify. And they stretched everything else back. What happens when they added 1,000 years to all native tribes and all native lands? That's confirmed over and over again. Over 1,000 years has been added to you. So what you call 70 AD is really what? 1070, 1170, or 1270, or later. This invasion just happened. The Roman invasion just rolled up on these Israelites here. Titus Vespasius, Columbus, Flavius, same shit. It reached its golden age of political and economic strength during the reign of who? King David IV and Queen Tamar the Great. And Tamar rocks heavy. And like my brother Urban Reed is always getting the balance, dodge the hijack picture. This was a beautiful sister who reigned as the Queen of Georgia, 1184 to 1213, presiding over the apex of the Georgian Golden Age. This is you. A member of the Dragon dynasty, her position as the first woman to rule Georgia in her own right was emphasized by the title Mepi, or King, afforded to Tamar in the medieval Georgian sources. So there came a point where she ruled Georgia. Tamar was proclaimed heir and co-ruler by her reigning father, George III, in 1178. So like the bro, was it Hiram said, there's multiple Georges, there's multiple Davids. Genghis Khan is taking the title. It's not one King George. There's multiple Georges and multiple Davids. Some of them are you, some of them are not you. Tamar was married twice. Her first union being 1185 to 1187 to the Rus, Prince Uri. Are you digging this with me? Rus, the Rus. Do we gotta click Rus? Kiev Rus. Russia's named after the Rus. A loose federation. Oh, these Slavs. Kiev Rus, cultural ancestors, Belarus, and Russia derived its name from it. And it goes deep, man. You got the Prince Oleg, and you know what I mean? They start uncovering some stuff, but it connects back to the what? Byzantine, and again. And the Mongols. And again, why oh why did the takedown of the Byzantine happen 1 year after the Papal Bull in 1453? Dragatoni dynasty. So she was married to a Rus prince, alright, whom she divorced and expelled from the country, defeating his subsequent coup attempt. So this was an infighting of this dynasty. You're looking at your infighting. For her second husband, Tamar chose in 1191 the Allen prince. These Allens play heavy. David Soslan. So they're calling David Soslan. David Soslan. David the Sixth. Alright. Soslan of Babylon and Georgia. Son of Prester John. Roger Hiraja II Jadaron. Tamar. Allen. Alright, so he's an Allen. What's an Allen? You can do this all day. Alania, medieval kingdom of the Iranian Allens, Iranian or Persians, okay, that flourished in the northern Caucasus, roughly in the later day, Circassia and modern North Ossetia, Alania, 8th to 9th century, until its destruction by the Mongol invasion. Look at the date, 1238. So they said Prester John got rolled up on 1202. So this is Genghis Khan now rolling up on the rest of you. Well, all right. Let's get back on track. Like I said, we can do this all day. Right, David Slauson, Pashu, they had two George. Here's another George coming out of son of the David Slauson. They had two children. Now they got another George. The two successive monarchs of the throne of Georgia. So George isn't necessarily hijacked. It depends on which George we're talking about. And it goes deep when you deal with Queen Tamar and the Russes, man. You see how that connects. David, this is David the Fourth here, that had the golden age. So this particular David is David the Sixth. He's the son of Jadaron, Prester John, who must be, I guess, David the what, fifth? So you're talking about his father is also a David, a Khan, a Dawood. Let's go. Just surfing away. We're getting back in this book, Shambhala, the fascinating truth behind the myth of Shambhala. Getting back into the Templar drop. Just for a second, because we're going to get back in deeper in the next couple series. Alright, so Thomas believes so. He points out that 1184 Wolfram von Eschenbach, a troubadour and Knight Templar, again, who's the Holy Grail? It is a function. A function. The Holy Grail is a function. Who summoned the Holy Grail legends of in the romance to Toro. I wonder if I still got that drop on the Holy Grail. If not, we'll get it next time. Yeah, I think I took it. Oh, okay, I think I named it Parzival or something. Alright, we'll see if that pops up, man. But it's a link that I shared last time about the Holy Grail. Okay. So let's stay. So what Achenbach was Achenbach, Thomas asked, speaking of Shambhala. Alright. So we got on Prester John 32 that the Shambhala is now also popping up, other than the Cibola and Shimbola we know in the four corners. But in our map drop, we got it popping up in Western Antarctica, Shambhala. And you could look at the South America connection to this Liberia, which is really representing, you know, surfing the wave America or South America. It's not representing the Liberia in Africa, because this is West Antarctica, and West Antarctica ain't touching Africa, not West Antarctica. All right. So I think this is a representation of America. Of course, Egypt is already here. Horace Butler told you that. So you got Liberia already here. And you got this connection already happening, which they call Paradise Bay on the regular map today. But it's being called Shambhala here. So you got a Paradise Bay today, Shambhala in Germany. Okay, so let's get it. We talk about Shambhala, alright? Keep your eye on the prize. We're talking about the Grail as a stone. As a what? As a stone. Was Etchingbach Thomas as speaking of Shambhala and the cintamani stone? And love the Eye of a Dragon, man. We got this live on the radio. Again, we're live Monday through Friday, 10 to 2, even though we go longer, man, to 3 or 4. We have a great time. Love to the drop chat, all the family that's dedicated every night to surfing the wave, man. We're getting these links throughout the week, and then I drop them on YouTube. So if you want to get them first, definitely, you know, it's late, but we really get that early vibration, man. So Shambhala and the cintamani stone and the Mycengers tale the hero Parzival. So next time or so we're going to get the Parzival story. All right, you can get that in the book drop. You go on the website, click on book drop, or just type in Parzival. Carries the sacred cup or stone to Asia, to the kingdom of Totoro, a priest king who bears a strong resemblance to the phantom emperor Prester John. They're going to say, oh, Asia, and the Christians call him, man. We dodge all the hijack. So this priest king bears a strong resemblance to who they're calling a phantom or a myth. All right, that's how strong this David is, man. Emperor Prester John, emperor of the Abyssinians, emperor of the world, King David. And who, like Totoro, lived for about 500 years. We're just talking the fountain of youth, and it goes into the fountain of external youth. We got that last time. It says a magic mirror enabled the king, to observe everything that happened in the world. So it's all about seeing clearly. Seeing clearly. Flying dragons carried men for long distances through the air. Flying dragons carried men for long distances through the air. And what about Solomon's ring, yo? And a magic ring could make them invisible. Oh, you think it's a fantasy? I get it. You fell asleep. You watch Avatar, you connect to it, and you don't know why. Flying dragons carried men for long distances through the air, and a magic ring, Solomon. The Hobbit, right? Lord of the Rings, could make them invisible. A huge tower rose in the middle of the city, and there was a wonderful magical stone was guarded day and night. Thomas regards all these legendary ideas from which Etchingbach drew so much of his material as hinting at the real existence of an Asiatic world center of initiation and furnishing elements of the Templars' secret Gnostic doctrine. We're just talking to Templar, man. Who is Prester John? Prester John's land. Only the purest souls could live in Prester John's land. Only the highest vibrations, only the purest souls could live in Prester John's land. We're just talking Shambhala. Where crime, poverty, and injustice were unknown, and a magic mirror enabled the king to observe everything that happened in the world, all seen. Flying dragons carried men for long distances through the air, and a magic ring could make them invisible. Okay, let's go. Because we're just talking about the stone, right? Shambhala and the cintamani stone. And Eye of a Dragon hit us with this live in the chat room, man. The cintamani stone. And he hit us with this before we got that drop. That's how we surfed away. The cintamani stone, legendary, they say Buddhists, all right? A wish-fulfilling gem. So keep your mind on the prize when we talk about the platonic solids, like Irvin Reed's breaking down. We're talking fourth dimension. We're talking higher vibration stones that do what? Fulfill wishes. And what else? We're going to get some more. However, its power was considered so great and so potentially dangerous, they ultimately sent it to the mystical hidden city of Shambhala. Man, it sounds like the Holy Grail, right? That's what, you know. Or it sounds like the Ark of the Covenant too, a little bit, huh? But the legend of the Cintamani stone doesn't end there. Esoteric theorists and modern day treasure hunters have uncovered profound possibilities that the Cintamani stone actually exists. If so, where is it now? Now they're going to look for it. Okay. We're just talking about Prester John, the legend, and the sources. All these links I'm pulling up, you got beneath. Click the links below if you want to get fully in the classroom. You know what I'm saying? Much a hob to the little homie in the back of the class still getting the drop. I do it for you. From day one, my audience has been the little homie in the back of the class with his earphones on, just listening, just getting the drop. And that's where we stay. We have a pure water relationship. And if you listening in, as we dig on this wonderful drop, and really, I'll learn more. I'm learning more from the little homie in the back of the class, see? See, I'm not trying to shape his mind. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to ask the right questions. We're not trying to mold anybody's mentality into one thing here. We just try to surf the wave of all possibilities. We frame up, we shape up, and we don't worry about time, because there ain't no time, only the wave. So let's get it from here. And love to Chef Candy, because Chef Candy can't stop getting it, can't stop getting enough. She's just digging on Dragon Links, Antarctica, and everything in between. Everything in between. Also, there is towards the south in that region a certain place of ours at which the world ends, which is called the Cavern of Dragons. This is a book called Prester John, the Legend and its Sources. It's over $100. I don't think they mean to write it for you. So what happened in Antarctica when we got last part, when, you know, get that last part, get the drop, man. Admiral Byrd rose up on Antarctica in the 40s. They get their ass kicked. They got 5,000 people. They retreat. Oh, my goodness. Something whooped their ass over here. What did they roll up on? Let's surf the wave, which is called the Cavern of Dragons. Also, there is towards the south, we're talking south of South America, where they're rolling up on Admiral Byrd and them in the 40s. In that region, a certain place of ours at which the world ends. We're talking Antarctica, which is called the Cavern of Dragons. It is long and wide, excessively difficult, and most severe in severity and difficult, with the deepness and depth that is most deep and most cavernly and full of secret places. Indeed, in this place there are infinite thousands of terrible dragons. Infinite thousands? Infinite thousands? Infinity thousands of dragons. What happened to Admiral Byrd and his crew when they rode up on the Cavern of Dragons? Guarding what? What happened to Admiral Byrd and his crew when they rolled up on the Antarctic Cavern of Dragons? Guarding Shabala. They rode up on an infinite thousands of guardians. And what happened? They said, retreat, 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 retreat. We rode up on a Cavern of Dragons. Oh, shit. Oh, man. I mean, damn, we just talking the Cherokee Dragoon. Cherokee Dragoons. Dracons. We see clearly. We get it. So it is long and wide, excessively difficult, and most severely in severity. Oh my goodness, so hard to reach, right? Remember, the dude is trying to navigate, right? Difficult maneuver. It's so difficult to reach. Difficult maneuver. Pop up, ballast with the tail trim, angle of Angle of incidence 41 degrees. Drive straight ahead 110 meters to the top. Distance 21.5 nautical miles. Then starboard slope of 8 degrees until the surface emerges in the grotto. Then they can drive to Agartha full speed. Look straight ahead until the new light is settled. Look straight ahead until the new light is settled. The new light? Look straight ahead until the new light. So there's a new sun. There's another sun beyond the pole. It's difficult, a difficult maneuver. Just surfing away. It is a wide and excessively difficult and most severe in severity and difficult, with a deepness and depth that is most deep and most cavernly and full of secret places. Indeed, in this place there are infinite thousands of dragons, which the residents, the Nagas, the Negro of those surrounding provinces, guard with the greatest diligence, lest any wizards or hijacks from India or elsewhere who was eating your dragons in Western Europe are able to steal one of those dragons with what? Sorcery. For in fact, the princes of the Indians, the chiefs, the Khans, the Hakans, the chiefs of the Indians are accustomed to have dragons at weddings. The princes of the Indians, the autochthon copper-colored race found here by the European, you Negro Naga, you are accustomed to having dragons at your weddings and at other banquets. And without dragons, they do not consider the banquet to be complete. Let's go. And just as cattle and mule herders are accustomed to humble and humanize the horses young, to teach them and tame them and call them by their own names, to place bridle and saddle on them and to ride them anywhere they wish, so too these men who have custody and demand and command of their dragons. So too these Nagas who have custody and command of your dragons. The dragon commanders humble the same dragons by the incantations. The energy is what they mean, what they're calling magic. Humanize them, teach them, and subdue them, and call them by their own names. Place bridle and saddle on them and ride them whenever and wherever they wish. It's a frequency war, people. You forgot who you are. Every year, these dragon people, we just got into the dragon communities, the dragon grids. You are dragon people because you guard the dragon grid, the energy, the vortexes, Shabala, Dracan, priest. The Dracan people, the people of the priesthood, the Khan dynasty, released to our magnificence for tribute 100 men. So our magnificence is who? Their chief, what they're calling king. 100 men, dragon masters, and 100 dragon humanized in this way, which are like cows amongst men. The dragons are like cows amongst men. That's how they're humbled. Remember 2nd Baruch, chapter 73, and the dragon will come out of its cave and submit itself to a little child. They're humble to the right energy, frequency, and vibration. So these dragons are like cows amongst you Nagas. And when you Nagas play with them admirably by leading them here and there by the head and tail, when you play with your dragon by leading them here and there by their head and tail, the dragons are like dogs. When you play with your dragon, like my pet dragon, when you play with your dragon, they become like dogs to you. That's how humbled they are. Truly, these men with their dragons are our couriers. When it pleases our clemency, here we go, that's the king or the chief. That's Prester John. This book is called Prester John, the Legend, and its sources. So when it pleases our clemency, desiring to know all the news from every part. So King David, Prester John, desired to know all the news across the earth. How do you know we're talking about across the earth? It says we send them with those dragons flying through the air through every climate of the world. Emperor of the world is King David, not a little place called Israel in the Middle East. The earth is your turf. That's what they're hiding from you. Truly, these men with their dragons are our couriers when it pleases priest, king, chief, Hakan, desiring to know all the news. From every part, we send them with those dragons flying through the air, through every climate of the world. In the farthest part of the world, towards the south, we have a certain great and uninhabitable island, on which all the time Hawa rains manna most abundantly twice a week, which is collected and eaten by the people. The Most High rains manna twice a week, which is collected and eaten by the people who live nearby. And they do not feed on any other food. Indeed, they do not plow, sow, or reap, nor do they disturb the land in any way to gain the most fertile fruit from it. In fact, this manna tastes in their mouths the same as it tasted in the mouths of the sons of Israel on their departure from Egypt. This book is called Prester John, the Legend, and its sources. It's breaking down the Israelite migration, the manna. It's breaking down the priesthood. It's breaking down dragons. It's breaking down the fountain of youth, the mirror, the ring. And it costs over $100 because it ain't written for you, Naga. So the Most High rains manna twice a week. These people do not disturb the land in any way to eat one single fruit, because all they eat is manna. The manna tastes in their mouths the same as it tasted in the mouths of the sons of Israel on the departure from Egypt. In fact, these men know no women except their wives. We're just talking Prester John. They do not have envy or hatred. They live peacefully. They do not quarrel amongst themselves for their own sake, and they do not have a mayor above them except the one that we send to receive our tribute. So this mayor falls in the same line as a king or a sovereign ruler that's sovereign or ruling them outside of their order. They only have their order. They only have an order above the barrier. Angels have chiefs. Tribes have chiefs. The chief serves the tribe. The chief brings them the water and connects them to the water and makes sure that the tribe is connected to the water. Joshua brought you to the water. He brought you to the land and the water. Moses brought you to the water. They always lead you there. They always guide you there. They always guide you out of the hijack. What does a king do? It wants a sovereign rulership over you. Joshua never wanted a rulership over you. Prester John is not desiring a rulership as they want to paint it, but is connecting his people to what? The fountain of youth. What fountain of youth? Certainly the men of that land abound in precious stones. We're talking the stone. Remember the stone. Makes him invisible. The healing stone. The cintamani stone. The wish-fulfilling gem. Let's go. We're just talking the what? Shambhala or the cintamani stone. Let's go. Precious stones. The men of the land abound in precious stones, and the yellow is gold. These men who live thus in heavenly nourishment, each live for 500 years. Well, we know they live even more than that. But this is just another variation of it. We're surfing the wave. But even so, they regain 100 years of life, and they are all renewed. What does a dragon mean in etymology? It is a renewed, a seeing clearly. When you see clearly, you see renewed. When you put glasses on for the first time, if you couldn't see, but you felt like you was blind as a bat, you put glasses on, you say, whoa. You have a renewed what? Vision, perspective. They are renewed by drinking 3 times from the certain fountain, which flows out towards the base of a certain tree. A certain tree? Columbus said that the Orinoco River flowing out of South America was literally flowing out of the terrestrial paradise, Eden. Columbus said the Orinoco River flowed out of the terrestrial paradise. The source of the Orinoco River is Mount Roraima. Mount Roraima, or tree Roraima, in South America or near off of Brazil, and you know, that whole little area is something to do with that, because this tree is also the source of the Amazon River. Yeah, the Amazon is coming out of this tree. We're just talking a certain tree standing there. But even so, they regain 100 years of life, and they are all renewed by drinking 3 times from the certain fountain which flows out towards the base of a certain tree. A fountain out of a tree, standing there, namely on the aforesaid island, and when that water has been taken or drunk 3 times, so I declare they cast away 100 years of this age in this way, and they are so stripped of the years that they seem without hesitation to be 30 or 40 years of age, and no more. And in this way, they always regain 100 years, and they are altogether changed. Later, after 500 years, they die. Listen what happens when they die. Now, we got before that, you know, Prester John has taken 6 baths in the fountain of youth, so there's different variations to this fountain, but let's go. Later, after 500 years, they die. All right, let's surf the wave. And as is accustomed to that people, they are not buried, but are carried away to the aforenamed island, and they are erected standing. So although they have died, they are stood straight up. They are erected standing next to those trees, the leaves of which fall at no time, and they are very thick. The shade of those trees is most pleasing, and the fruit of these trees has the most pleasant smell, and the flesh of these dead people does not grow pale. The flesh of these dead people does not grow pale, nor does it rot or become moist or turn to ashes or decay, but it remains fresh and colored as though alive, and it will remain so unharmed until the time of what they're calling the Antichrist, which, you know, okay, whatever, it just means this is time of the end. Anything against the hijack. Anti-hijack. Just as a certain prophet foretold. So we're just talking prophecy. Truly at the time of the Antichrist, as the divine word is fulfilled. The divine word, we're talking Hawa. This was said to Adam, you are earth and will return to earth, and indeed will be revealed through him the boundless earth, and no one digging it out, and thus the earth will devour them. And when they have been devoured, the land will be closed as it was before, and thus their flesh will be earth below the earth. Thus their flesh will be earth below the earth, and from there they will rise up again, and come to judgment, either judging or being judged. Either judging or being judged. Let's go. So the body of these people, man, when they pass on, does not decay. It remains fresh and colored as though alive. We're just talking Prester John. I mean, dang, what happened to Moshe? We're just talking Dragon. We're just talking Moshe. Go check out Irvin Reed, who's digging on the sister of Moshe, Miriam. Oh boy. Is it a beautiful thing? We're just talking Dragons. We're just talking our balance. We're just talking our Khalifa. We're just talking our Sheba. We're just talking Levi, Leviathan. And we got this before with the whole, Google Earth. Caramel also did it, man. Wonderful job covering that, which we needed. You can go to Google Maps and everything you read in Deuteronomy 34, you will find it in Utah. All right. Ephraim, Manasseh, the top of Mount Pisgah. Moses went up to the plains of Mount Pisgah, up to the Mount Nebo. All this is in Utah. All this is in Judah. Utah is Judah. This ain't no new. This is just what it is. Now, and Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. And everyone said, what does that mean? His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. Well, could it have anything to do with this priestly vibration? The flesh of those dead people does not grow pale, nor does it rot or become moist or turn to ashes or decay, but remains fresh and colored as though alive. And it will remain so until it's time to what? Come back and either judging or being judged. So some of them will be judging. Some of them will be judged. We're just talking the Cavern of Dragons. We're just talking Prester John, the legend, and its sources. Let's go now. Oh yeah, Chef Candy dropped a lot of great links, man. Lightning. Up in the sky. Dragon's head appears from the magical northern lights in the Arctic Circle. Dragon's head appears from the magical northern lights in the Arctic Circle. With their vivid colors and swirling shapes, the northern lights are already considered the most magical sight to see, but this might just be the most enchanting sight yet. The image of a dragon's head appeared in the northern lights dance across the night sky. A dragon's head, people? The ghostly shape of the mythical creature was formed out of swaths of green as the lights appeared in the Arctic Circle. Wow, look at this dragon's head. Look at the eyes. Look at the nose. He looks like that never-ending story dragon, right? Wow. A dragon's head appeared on the horizon in Greenland. Northern Lights. Just talking of Northern Lights, man. Wow. So these are just pictures of the Northern Lights, and this is when the dragon's head popped up in it. Man, let's see what the
news, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's see what this is.
That's right, dragon skin ice in Antarctica. Look at here. Skin ice. I'll save it. Save it. All right, okay. The ice among Antarctica's Polynesia resembles the scales of dragon. Yeah. Researchers in Antarctica have spotted a rare phenomenon a large patch of dragon skin ice. Dragon skin ice is very rare, bizarre, evidence of a darker chaos in the cryospheric realm, not seen in Antarctica since 2007. Guy Williams, a researcher with the Institute for Marine and Antarctic Studies at the University of Tasmania, said in a news release. Williams is one of 27 scientists aboard the U.S. icebreaker Nathan B. Palmer. The international science expedition is slowly making its way through the Antarctica sea ice en route to Ross Sea. The dragon skin ice was found among the continent's coastal Polynesias, areas of open water responsible for considerable ice production. Katabatic winds, which descend from the interior, are responsible for the non-stop ice production. Imagine your standard ice cube tray filled once, Williams said. After a week, you get one tray of ice cubes. But if you empty and refill the tray each night, you get so much more. This is what the Katabatic winds are doing in the Polynesia, removing the ice, exposing the water, and making more ice form. Oh. Scientists are interested in Antarctica's Polynesias because of their impact on local and global oceanography. As fresh water freezes out of the brackish mixture, a dense brine is left behind. This extra salty water sinks to the abyssal layer of the ocean. The sinking salt water begins the process of overturning circulation, the ocean's conveyor belt. The expedition is currently stalled by intense wind and waves, but scientists hope to study the sinking salt water when the weather subsides. We will spend the next 2 weeks taking advantage of quiet periods when the Katabatic winds drop off to observe the increase in salinity of the shelf waters below Polynesias as brine rejected during sea ice formation rains down to depths below 1,000 meters in the Draganski Trough, Williams said. Wow, dragon sea ice. Ladies and gentlemen, I've never heard of dragon sea ice. It's very interesting, don't you think? Dragon sea ice. This has been James from the Research Revolution. I'm out of here.
Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Appreciate that. Okay. Now back to this right quick with this Prester John. We're talking Cavern of Dragons, right? We're talking sea ice. We're talking frost dragons. You got all that stuff going on from pole to pole. You got Admiral Byrd popping off. Now again, man, love to Urban Reed, who, I mean, he's been rocking this King Arthur. I know he's gonna get on it again. So, you know, man, we're just riding the wave, man. Prester John, the Legend of Sources. This is his joint by Keegan Brewer, man, who will be dropping this in the library. We're just talking knights, okay? Now I want to get right quick to the what's it called? Now we're gonna get back in this drop because you see it got nothing but drop. You see it got nothing but drop. Prester John in Africa. Legends and Lies. Unraveling Prester John. You think that we're the only ones that been digging on Prester John? Do you think we're the only ones looking for Priest King Prester John? Do you think we the only ones looking for Priest King Prester John? They got a whole academia about this, people. We're not just making it up. And all praise our creator, because I don't remember what sparked this. I literally don't remember the drop before this or what sparked this series 32 segments ago. 32 great, you know what I'm saying, just energy waves of surfing the wave of Drop Nation that's led into the Dragon Drop, but also obviously connects to the Dragon King. So this is our thing. This is our investigation. We can have our own, right? If they can have theirs, certainly we can have our own hypothesis and theories using repeatable and observable science, being scientific. Can we be scientific? We got maps. We got all kinds of stuff popping. I'm going to get it, man. I'm going to get it. You know, you already know. Chef Candy dropped this on me, man. You know what I'm saying? To get this, dropped on you, man, by, by your beautiful wife. You see, chasing your 4 little babies around all day, man, and she still got the time to find something like this. That's Hawa. And much ado to Ama Aqua Yan. Believing in Prester John. Let's get this as we head towards our dismount. I'm gonna get it right. Let's get it right. Believing in Prester John. Get it. William of Newburgh was a proper historian. He wrote his history on the English people at the close of the 12th century. We're in the 1100s yet again, okay? Following in the footsteps of his great predecessor, the Venerable Bede or Betty. William greatly admired Betty, whose wisdom and integrity it is sacrilegious to doubt. The man was to be respected for his historicity and his balanced representation of the truth of British past. But there was another relatively new school of British history, headed by the writers like Geoffrey of Monmouth. Pay attention to this Geoffrey. In the drop chat, they said, man, wasn't the Game of Thrones king named Geoffrey that got poisoned? Like, yep. Which created a false genealogy of kings. So this writer, that's why when they say medieval and dark ages, look at what happened. They added history and they created what? A false genealogy of kings. Now you're getting this right out the book, Prester John, a legend and his sources. This ain't even Anatoly Fomenko telling you this. Somebody else is telling you they got phantoms and duplicates, and they got a what? False genealogy of kings, created by writers like Geoffrey of Monmouth, through the line of a certain King Arthur. So they used King Arthur to hide what? King David, Prester John, the meteor, the dragon. They used King Arthur to write about Prester John, to write about King David, or Soliman, the Knights, the Templars. You are the Knights, you are the Templar, you are the Khan, you are the Naga. These histories were to be abhorred for their obvious falsehoods, according to William. It was his historian's duty, so he said this was obvious falsehood to be using this fake-ass King Arthur, which they're going to call Arthurian studies. So this is an academia calling it Arthurian studies, or Prester John studies. It was historian's duty, William said, to prevent the spread of such fallacious nonsense being propagated by the likes of Geoffrey, a man who had an uncontrolled passion for lying. Geoffrey's methodology was also suspect, for in writing his history, all he was doing was taking up the infantile stories of British folklore, adding them to considerably from his own imagination and cloaking them with the honorable title of history by embellishing them in Latin tongue. At the end of his lengthy refutation of Geoffrey and his new school of Arthurian history. So they're calling it Arthurian history. And that's where they're hiding Priest King Prester John. Is he dreaming of another world containing infinite kingdoms in which those things which he recounted earlier actually happen? This is a question that must be asked of the Prester John legend. So here we go, from author to Prester John. The figure of Prester John, who they're calling a Christian, but we dodged the hijack. A priest and king who ruled over a marvelous Oriental empire. Held a firm grip on the Middle Ages. So this King David held a firm grip. This King David, this Solomon, your priesthood held a firm grip. Why do they try to hold a firm grip on you today? Because you held a firm grip on what they're calling the Middle Ages. Just like the legend of King Arthur. The Prester John letter, written by a European adopting the persona of Prester John, so to say, is one of the most remarkable pieces of Medieval, dodge the hijack, the most remarkable piece of literature describing in detail Prester John's incredible kingdom, which was said to be full of hybrid monsters, dragons, and marvels like the fountain of youth. But how was the letter received? Did its audiences believe Prester John and his kingdom of marvels were geographically tangible, or were they dreaming of another world? And if they did believe Prester John to be real, what exactly did they believe and why? This reception history approach has been largely ignored in Prester John's studies. Again, this reception history approach has been largely ignored in Prester John's studies. This is academia. What we're studying is the highest level of academia that no one's even heard of because it's so high. When you start talking about draconologists, like what? There's draconologists? Yeah, man, there's dragonologists. And if someone could call themselves a cartographer, we can call ourselves draconologists, damn it. There's no draconology school. We're just digging on dragons. Don't mind us. We're just surfing the wave. The vast majority of the work on Prester John has thus far centered upon historical points of view, such as the origins of the legend, textual points of view, such as the transmission of the letter, and literary points of view regarding certain aspects of Prester John's kingdom, particularly its representation as a utopia, paradise, right? Shambhala. While it is important not to underestimate the importance of these issues, we're talking promised land, people. Ignoring the reception of the idea of Prester John is to the detriment of our modern understanding of this distinctively medieval, or this distinctive idea. Dodge the medieval hijack. The introduction shall attempt to make its first steps towards filling the gaps, while at the same time providing a brief history of the Prester John legend. I argue that belief in Prester John as a real geographical or geopolitical figure is pervasive, although it does not necessarily imply that Prester John was necessarily believed to be as he was presented in the famous letter. Many were skeptical about the fantasies told about him, but there exists no piece of evidence prior to the 11th century that argued that Prester John never existed. I'll say it again about King David, priest king, Prester John. But there exists no piece of evidence prior to the 18th century hijack that argued priest king Prester John didn't exist. No one ever said he didn't exist until the 18th century. In some form or another, either in the past or in the distant yet to be discovered land. Either in the past or in a distant yet to be discovered land. By the 13th century, believing in the legend was made easier by the important shift in the meaning of the term Prester John from the name of a single man to a title. So first it was a specific person they were referring to, then it became a title or a lineage of kings, a vague description of any ruler who was uncovered as a result of European exploration. Even for those who had not read the letter of Prester John, became the means through which Europeans came to understand that there were Christians, so-called, beyond the European purview. So they said, oh man, these stories do have a foundation. Maybe they can help us, or maybe we can just take all of their energy. In the steppes of Central Asia, in Ethiopia, India, China, Persia, Syria, or elsewhere. So they don't know where Prester John is. He could, they're trying to understand that there were, saying someone with some root of what they're calling the Biblios in the New Test. They want the root. They want to hear about the King David. They want the root beyond the European purview in the steppes of either Central Asia, Ethiopia, India. We know these are two generic terms, and there's one in the West and one in the Orient, and you are in the farthest East when you flip your map over, because they flipped you over. The North is South, and the South is North, and the West is East, and the East is West, period. They flipped you inside out. China, Persia, Syria, or elsewhere. Somewhere, we don't know. Remember, They're looking for Prester John for 500 years. And the documents like the letter but still believe in Prester John as the embodiment of these real communities of foreign Christians. So they're just trying to hijack him into some belief they got of Christ. But you're anointed. Remember, Christ means anointed in Greek. So if you're talking the Greek anointed, you're talking their Zeus. If you talk your Hebrew anointed, you're talking your Mashiach. You're not talking Christ. You're not speaking Greek anymore. Yeah, you have to get out of the mind of a hijack and stop playing with this shit. If you don't speak Greek, stop saying Christ. If you're a Hebrew, you're talking about your HaMashiach or your Hakan. How many HaMashiachs, how many priest kings do you need? The legend was born out of the historical impetus of real events occurring in the Far East. Where are you when you flip over the map? You're in the Far East, a distant world that had little impact on the European consciousness. Remember, they took your con to get conscious. They took your priesthood, they took your priest vibration to gain consciousness. Since the invasion of the Huns in the 4th and 5th century, the Prester John legend later underwent transformation, adapting itself to new events taking place in the Far East, most notably the Mongol, here we go with the Wang Khan, conquest of the 13th century and the exploration of Asia and Africa and the later Middle and America, right? Contrary to expectation. Foreigner such as, oh, they skipped the page. Yeah, they skipped the page on us, man. But all right, so we get where we're going. I just want to let you know, man, that it wasn't play when we talk Northern Lights. This ain't no airbrush. This ain't no airbrush, man. These are signs in your face bone. Come on, man. A dragon just pops up when we start digging on dragons. Okay. All right. You think it's play. You want to go to the Carpathian Mountains. We're just talking the Rus, right? Let's go. I'm going to drop this doc as well. All up on you. This is called the, again, these are Prester John studies. This is Arthurian studies author. So this is high academia, which is why we're really breaking the mold here. No one's talking about high academia. No one wants to get on the chronology, the flamenco. Well-ween in the other world and the land of Prester John, the prologue of the legend of good women, Geoffrey. We got warned about this Geoffrey the writer, right? You know, taking from it and making it Arthurian studies. Yeah, I haven't really dug on this link yet, but I'm going to drop it here, man. You got the Arthurian mentioned right here. I'm just browsing through it. Arthurian world. Okay, so you're talking Geoffrey, the Arthurian drive. Alright, man, alright. Then you got the Parsival again, the Percival or Parsival. So we gotta dig on this Parsival, man. All right. So I had this link up. I didn't really look at it, but you know, the Roman Voynich is still richer than Parsival in episodes with the other world figures and the hypothetical space of analogies. Look, man, these people are hiding major information and stuff that looks like just wing wham. It looks like some type of poetry or, you know, what the hell you talking about type of thing. They're just talking the knights, man. They're just talking the knights. The sword with the 2 rings. And remember how we just got on that ring, man. We just got on that ring. So Prester John's land. crime, poverty, and injustice were unknown, a magic mirror enabled the king to observe everything that happened in the world. Flying dragons carried men for long distances through the air, and the magic ring could make them invisible. Okay. When on the other hand, Whirlwind wreaks havoc in Ascension's castle, supported by the invincible sword and the 2 rings. Did it make him invisible? He was supported, right? Alright, man, I'll drop that on you. Love to our sister Jackie Anthony. She dropped this plant on us, man. This is the Jack in the Pulpit, or Indian turnip, also known as the what? Prester John. What? There's a plant named Prester John this whole time? Yes, my Naga. There's been a plant named Prester John the whole time. Also called Jack in the Pulpit, or Preacher John, Southern Jack in the Pulpit, or 5-leaved Jack in the Pulpit, Aurora quanatum. Alright, so that's what it's called, Aurora quanatum. That's it. Alright, so that's alright, Jack. Prester John, man. Alright, Jack in the Pulpit. In my very limited observation, there are notable differences between this plant, Aurora quanatum, and Aurora trifolium, and most other species of Aurora. The most easily noted difference is that the quanatum has the appearance of having 5 leaflets, while the other species, such as the Dracontium, so we got the Draco. So there's a species called Draco plant, man, having 3 leaflets, just like the 3 toes or 4 toes or 5 toes. Makes a difference in that the emperor dragons have 5 toes. The emperor dragons have 5 toes. Just like this emperor Prester John plant has 5 leaflets, and some have 3. So I'm gonna drop this, man. You can see different places it says found in North America, obviously. You know what I mean? Here's a beautiful picture of it, like that, like that. So you see it's called Prester John, Jack in the Pulpit, Aurora. Alright. This is the tri one that has the 3. And I think this is, yeah. This is the quanatum that has the 5. So these are very rare. This is very rare. Ooh wee, people. Are we learning some drop? Ooh wee. We talking health drop? Are we talking Voynich manuscript? Are we talking Voynich manuscript? Now can we start identifying what's in the Voynich manuscript? All the drop, huh? Zahn. The site is Zahn's Natural Area, Walker County, Georgia. Whoa, Georgia? Whoa. Whoa, we talking Georgia? David, Prester John? We talking Georgia and Prester John? Soliman, Prester John? Georgia? Talking practice? The Kingdom of Georgia? I said, where's the real Georgia? Is the real Georgia in Russia? Or is that the extension of the Georgia right here in Georgia, Atlanta? Come on, people, orient yourself. We're just talking Georgia. Walker County? Well, what's in Walker County? And why is this called Zahn? Like Zion, like Zahn's. Drop the other N. It's like, you know, that 1-letter rule. Drop that D. Zion in Georgia. Zion National Area in Georgia. And I also love to Chef Candy before she went to sleep. She said, man, did you know Hiawatha or Hiawatha or Hawatha, the contemporary, you know what I'm saying? He was contemporaneous with Abraham in the OSB in the glossary. We looked at the Abraham, we got the Hiawatha. She said, do you know there's up in Michigan, you know, whole Hiawatha Park? I think we've done that before, but I forgot, man. It's like it's over 800,000 acres. Hiawatha Park in Michigan, you dig on it, is over 800,000 acres. 800,000 acres. This federal national park, 800,000 acres, called Hiawatha. And this is called Zion or Zion in Georgia. Georgia. Prester John. His son is the King David Exile, Georgia. Practice. All right, man. So you got it, man. Prester John, man. You got to dig on that Quanata with the 5 leaves, man. I'm like, where's this thing found? You know, then they got the green dragon joint. Also called the dragon root. Alright, so you got both of these to dig on, man. I mean, can we start digging on the Voynich manuscript now that we can see clearly? And I mean, we could do a whole drop just on this, man. But I'm going to lead you to the water. You see all the places it's found in. All the states in America, right? Okay. This is a little more on the plant, the Dracontian, flowering plant similar to the Ame'rican. You know, it is native to South America, Central America, Southern Mexico, and the West Indies, man. Can we start digging on the Voynich manuscript? And you know, we talked about the Orinoco River flowing out of the terrestrial paradise in Mount Roraima. And here you literally have the Amazones and Roraima states. So I said, does this Roraima connect to the terrestrial paradise or not? Because Columbus says that the Orinoco River flows out of the terrestrial paradise. And it flows out of Mount Roraima. And the Piedmont Indians say that it is the source or is a stump of a mighty tree. So they call it a tree stump. The Piedmont Indians call it a tree stump. Oh, it's a flat top mountain, right? It's a mesa, right? It's the source of the Amazon River and the Orinoco River. It's connected and running out of this tree, connecting to northwestern Brazil, where these plants might be found. Where these plants might be found, man. Where these plants might be found, man. We're just talking South America and North America and Georgia. We're just talking Mount Roraima, right? The source of the Amazon River and the Orinoco River that Columbus said flowed out of the terrestrial paradise. He says this river must be the source. It must be flowing out of the terrestrial paradise. And where does it flow out of? Mount Roraima or tree Roraima. Again, the Piedmont Indians literally say this is a mighty tree. A mighty tree stump because it's been cut down. I'm just talking tree Roraima. Look at the water that flows. Look at the water that flows. The source of the Amazon. The source of the Orinoco. We're talking precious stones. We're talking wildflowers. We're talking Prester John plant. We're talking tree Roraima. We're talking Eden. We're talking paradise. This is on top of tree Roraima. Can you imagine taking a bath in this living water? I said, can you imagine taking a bath in this living water? Can you imagine taking a bath in this living water? On top of Mount or tree Roraima. You see it? You see it, man? What did they find on this tree? What did they find on tree Roraima? This is on top of the tree. Don't it look like there might be some caverns of dragons? What's hiding in there? What's hiding in there? I'm just talking about. I'm just talking the tree. Don't this start looking like Avatar? Don't this start to look like Avatar? Don't you think this glows and starts lighting up in all types of colors at night? It looks like everything is alive and connected. Look at the colors. Look at the colors. I'm just talking your tree. We're just talking trees, man. You just gotta dig on it, man. And I dropped this, man. I dropped this, man.
Only needs blood.
Nah, man. Much ado to my bro Manny, Armani Guy, man, the Bushman, man, giving us daily poetry and reading the Annals of the Coxie Quells. Go on the website, click on Armani Guy. My bro Manny's amazing. We get his drop, and he said, bro, who is the Super Saiyan in this Dragon Ball Z situation? An advanced transformation assumed by extraordinary powerful members and hybrids of the Saiyan race or Zion race of the Dragon Ball franchise. Alright, there have been occurrences of other races of individuals taking on their own versions of this form, but not the same, right? Humans of Zion heritage can also assume the transformation by wishing to have their dormant Zion powers unlocked. The Super Zion form first premiered. So they got, alright, so these people, they got the ability to become a Super Zion. Alright, was once considered to be nothing but a legend, but it has not been performed for over 1,000 years. Vegeta has stated that the Super Zion has achieved a level of power so overwhelming that it could only be maintained in a transformed state. So they got so much power that it could only be maintained in a transformed state. So they transformed you people to maintain your power. They transformed you people of Zion. You look at this white boy. Nah, man. You know what Soul Glow. You know the Last Dragon. You know what Soul Glow is. And they had to transform you and put you in a transformed state to what? Maintain your power. Because you achieved such a level of power in what they're calling Mu in Atlantis. So overwhelming that it can only be maintained in a transformed state. I can't make this up. Man, and they got a lot more drop, man, on the Super Zion, man. You get it, man. I'm gonna make my dismount right here, man. We're gonna make a dismount right here, man. This is a book called Brady's Book of Fixed Stars. Again, love to Chef Candy. Dropping this on me. I can't ignore it. I can't ignore it. We're talking the Draco stars, right? Draco the dragon. With vast convolutions Draco holds the ecliptic axis of his scaly foes, or half the skies his neck enormous rears, and with immense meanders parts the bear. So wrote an English naturalist poet in the 18th century. Throughout the ages, this constellation has been seen as a snake, a dragon, or a serpent. It was worshipped by the Babylonians as Bel, the great dragon, and was referred to in Christian mythology as the serpent in the Garden of Eden. So the serpent in the Garden of Eden was a dragon. So when he got cursed, he had to swarm around on his belly. You can see that that's truly a curse. If you're a dragon used to flying, and now you gotta squirm around on your belly, that is truly a curse. So, that's the cursed serpent, the cursed venom. It once occupied a much larger space in the heavens, encompassing the two bears, Ursa Major and Minor. The little bear was originally known as the dragon's wings. Wow. So it's gotten invaded, and now it's a little spot, but before it occupied all this space, and the little bear was originally known as the dragon's wings. Half bird, half snake. This is the original mythical animal, occurred in the mythologies of all cultures. Draco stars were the pole stars from about 4500 BC to about 2000 BC. Alright. So they got the dragon rotated around the unmoving point of the world. The unmoving point of the world? The unmoving point? So it sounds like you have an axis, like almost like a chandelier or something. There's a polaris, there's a point that is fixed. That's why you have the same North Star that your ancestors did. That's why you have the same damn North Star, because it's unmoving. And it says it right here, the dragon rotated around the unmoving point of the world, like the hands of a clock in a reverse direction, guiding its center. So the mighty celestial dragon guarded the greatest treasure of all, the pivot point of the world. It never slept because it never set. This was the crocodile of the Egyptians, who devoured any dead beings whose hearts were too heavy for the scale of judgment. All right. So, everyone's trying to buy off of your style. This is the non-sleeping 100-eyed dragon that the Greeks had guarding the golden apples in the Garden of Hesperides. And that goes back to the King Arthur drop. Apples were also the dragon's treasure offered to Eve in the Christian Garden of Eden. All right. Rowan berries and eternal life were protected by its counterpart in Celtic mythology by the time of the Arthurian author legends. So we just got the King Arthur drop in a separate source. Now we go to Brady's Book of Fixed Stars by Bernadette Brady, and we're back in the King Arthur legends. The dragon was seen to protect or guard material treasures of gold and jewels, and when its symbolism was in tatters within the decline of all things feminine, it was considered the perfect hunting game for knights. So now you have knights trying to hunt your dragons. That's why Prester John, who was a knight, said, beware of the treacherous knights. Beware of the treacherous Templars, because although they claim to be knights and uphold a code, they do not uphold no code. They are heathen. These Moors will turn on you. However, the image of the dragon is no longer seen to be the fearful creature that St. George had to kill. So now you got the other Georgie boy, alright, eating your dragon, killing your dragon, slaying dragons. Draco, the dragon, is still the guardian of both spiritual and physical treasure. Man, for the dragon, even though reduced in size by modern cartographers, they are reducing its size on purpose, people. Still coils around the unmoving point of the world. Still guards the entrance to a forgotten place of immortality and creation. Are we talking about the hounds of the barrier? Are we talking about the emerald tablets? running from the hounds of the berry. For the dragon, even though reduced in size by modern cartographers, still coils around the unmoving point of the world, still guards the entrance to a forgotten place of immortality and creation. We're talking about above the barrier. You know what I'm saying? So we know it's all about above the barrier. And it's all about, you know what I'm saying, a design that's put in place to guard above the barrier when we get down to it. And what's going on with this Draco? Hit him with the Draco. We ain't talking Soldier Boy, man. We talking the Draco. We're just talking the ether, the upper regions of space, the upper pure, bright air, sky, firmament, pure air, upper air, ancient cosmology, all right? Then they get into the substance, frame of reference. The concept was shaken by the Michelson-Morley experiment 1887 and discarded early 20th century after the theory of relativity won acceptance, but before that it gave rise to the colloquial use of ether for the radio. And all we doing over here is surfing the wave, man. This is Prester John 33. And real talk, man. What's up with your tree? What's up with your tree and where we going? And what will you find on your treasure hunt? Would it be named Prester John? Will it be named Prester John? Would it have anything to do with a sword and two rings? Man, I get it, man. Would it be anything to do with a Cherokee Dragoon? And if you're getting that drop live, keep on vibing. Keep on surfing the wave. We're here for you. You know what I'm saying? We're dedicating, you know, 30 hours plus, man, a week live, man. So please dig on it. Just press play. That's all you got to do, you know. Enjoy it. Enjoy the drop that's dropping. Support the drop. Man. Get back in the Wakanda by Tyrone Street, because that was amazing. And just remember, things are happening, man, when you deal with this Arctic dragon. Things are happening, man, when you're dealing with this dragon, man. Popping up in the northern lights, man. What else is going on over there, man? I mean, we're trying to see clearly, right? What else is going on in the northern lights, man? Much ahad, man. Shabbat up, Shabbat down. Nah, man. I don't want all that. I said Shabbat da, Shabbat da, Shabbat. Shalom. Just surfing the wave, man. What else is going on in the northern lights? What is this? You saw the dragon's head. Don't this look like an egg? We see clearly. We see clearly. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. And with that, we remember, man. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dimmed, nor his natural force abated. I said, we remember, man. Love to how I stewed. Afterwards shall the children of Israel return and seek Hawa, their creator, and seek Hawa, their creator, and David, their king. You shall return to seek your creator and your Khan, your Hakan. Because the children of Israel have abided many days without a king. Not a king, right? We don't speak English. Without a Khan, without a priest, a priesthood, and without a prince, without a sacrifice, without an image, without an effort, without a teraphim. Kind of sounds like a seraphim. We're just talking dragon. Afterwards shall the children of Israel return and seek Hawa, their creator, and David, their king, and shall fear Hawa and his goodness in the latter days, and shall fear Hawa and his goodness in the latter days. Seek Hawa and your Khan. Seek Hawa and your Khan. We seek Hawa. We seek our Khan. We are the Ame'rican. All praise Hawa, Hawa, Allah, Hawa. Allah, Hawa, Shabbatah.